Hi, it's the Lipstick Owl. Thanks so much for watching today. I wanted to do an update for you on new products I have been purchasing and trying. I always love a first impressions, but I know that when I'm trying things on for the first time, I may not get it right application-wise. I sometimes don't take the time to read through how it's supposed to be used. I just kind of use like my intuition and I start going forward. And things can really drastically change from the first time I try something until I've had it for a while. And I want to get back to you with those reviews. What I have in front of me today does not have any lip products in it. If you're curious about lip products, I will leave some links for you in the description bar down below. I've been purchasing a lot of lip products and I have like videos of like just here's what my thoughts are on recent lip product purchases. But I'm going to start off with something that I used to always have in my collection. And I have started to look for and want to try again, which is a green color corrector. Years ago, Lancome used to make a product and it was a cream kind of palette where they had one large disc of like a skin toned concealer cream and then three smaller dots of I think a pink, a green, and a yellow. And I would use those to kind of spot conceal all over my face. You know, the yellow underneath the eye, the green around the corners of my nose and on my chin, sometimes along through my jawline where I have a lot of redness. The older I get, the more that redness fades, but I still have some pretty strong redness here and here. But I remember going through like pan after pan after pan, and I'd have to get the whole new palette again because I'd hit the bottom of the green and there was no other green color corrector. So I've always loved a green color corrector, but I'm looking for the right type of formula. One of the ones that I picked up because it was affordable and you kind of get a lot and I like that is this one from L'Oreal. This is their 24-hour redness corrector eraser and it has 4% niacinamide. This is one of those that I like mainly because of how well it goes over the top of my skincare. Normally I have on a hydrating serum, a cream, and then a SPF. And this goes over it so well that when I start blending it in, it's kind of like a lightweight lotion. It blends really easily and it really does help to take down some of the redness that I deal with on my face. And I feel like you can see just a difference here. There's like a little bit more of a pinkiness here. And here I feel like it's almost completely neutralized, but it doesn't look green. And that's what I'm going for. I feel like because of the cosmetic elegance of this, it's not overly emollient. I have combo skin, so this doesn't leave me greasy. This doesn't leave me dry, doesn't dry me out, it doesn't make me like have too much hydration on my skin. It works really well. It doesn't pill up with any of my SPF or skincare that I have on. It doesn't interact poorly with any foundation that I put on over the top of it, whether it's a liquid or a cream. I just really like it. I feel like it's really elegant and it's kind of like a great neutralizing layer without being too much. The other thing that I like about it is it's lightweight enough and it's not so green that if I just want to spot correct on top of this, I can leave the house and I don't look like I've got like a green cast to my face. I can just, you know, hit the under eyes, maybe a little bit more around the corners of my nose, sometimes like my hyperpigmentation spots, tap it out and go. Whereas if I'm not using this, I feel like I want to reach for either more concealer or more foundation. So if you're dealing with a little bit of redness, and if you could get like the redness to be knocked down just a little bit, you could just spot conceal and be happy. You might actually really, really like this. And we're getting an entire ounce in here, which is so much more than you get in a lot of other concealer wands that have a significantly less amount. All right, the other green color corrector I tried is this one from Beauty Pie. I'm still not sure whether they're bringing this back because I haven't seen it on their website, but this is the Super Luminous Redness Corrector in green. And this was kind of created as like a member bonus. I don't know if they're planning on bringing it back, but do you see how green this is? It's almost like the same color green. Let me show you side by side, but it's just the opacity. One is so heavy. I feel like this maybe has just a hint more gray to it. This one has a little bit more white to it. But the problem I have with the one from, boy, even just trying to blend it out here from ColourPop is like, it just keeps going and it turns into, on my fair skin, a very small amount of it. If I'm not really careful, it kind of turns into like She-Hulk, or like I'm putting like face paint, like the Wicked Witch of the West. That's what I feel like. Whereas the one from L'Oreal just kind of blends into nothing right here. And this is the one from it's just a lot. It's a lot. Now, I do like that this is a more emollient formula, but I feel like it could be a little bit less pigmented. It is so, so pigmented. I feel like it does a really good job of getting rid of redness, like the days that I am dealing like with a big, giant, massive, like angry red pimple. This really gets rid of the redness, but it's not one of those that I can just like slather on, put on just a little bit of spot concealer and go. This needs the layer of heavy concealer over the top to counteract the green, or a medium to full coverage foundation to knock down the green, or I just end up looking a little bit ill all day, like a little pea soup green. So this is a super pigmented product, but between the two, this is kind of like my new hero product, and I think is gonna help me look like a better version of myself all summer long, where I can just knock down the redness just a little bit. But I feel like the formula of this is exactly what I'm looking for. All right, I did get a concealer, and this is like the little teeny tiny baby size. This Hourglass Vanish concealer is really good, but I'm glad I didn't get like the full size. I have so many concealers in my collection. It takes me a while to kind of get through them. This is the lightest shade in Birch. I'm kind of curious if I should be getting a slightly darker shade. Sometimes I like to have like a really bright under eye, and sometimes it just makes me look like a reverse panda. But this shade here is, you need the smallest amount. Like if I pull out the doe foot, I can put like a dot here, one here, one here, redness for the corners of my nose, discoloration here, some like all over the face, and I will still have like the other side, the flip side of the doe foot full of product, and what I've put on my face might be too much. So you need literally the smallest amount, but it does a really good job of kind of combating my under eye circles if I'm not using a corrector. This really helps to, with just one product, get rid of the darkness that I have here. I like the texture of this. It's not really emollient and it's not drying. So my under eyes are this interesting kind of no man's land where I need a little bit of moisture, but not too much. If it's too moist, then product settles into my crinkles, and then all I have is like little lines of concealer, which I don't like. And it can't be too drying, or it makes that under eye area look really textured, and it like adds on an extra 10 to 15 years underneath the eyes. It needs to interact well with powder. I feel like this does all of those things. This is a sort of concealer that really surprised me. I would really be willing to get the full size, but I mean, part of me is like, would I even need it? But I have really been liking this, been super impressed with the formula and how little of it I need. And it hangs tight all day. That's another thing that I love about it, is I can put it on 7 or 8 in the morning, and then by the end of the day at 10 o'clock at night, it doesn't look like it's completely gone. My skin hasn't eaten it through. I'm not using this all over the face. I am using it for spot concealing, and it does a great job. All right, one of the other products that I can't stop reaching for this. And I was looking the other day, it's like, wow, I've gone through this. This is the new Bosma Stick Foundation. I have the shade number 38. I started with shade number 40. It was a little too light. That was the lightest shade. This is a beautiful, I'm wearing it today. It's a beautiful foundation where you can just draw it on. You can use your fingers. I've been using a brush, and it blends in beautifully. And it doesn't end up feeling like really emollient where you've got like a really heavy layer of cream. It almost like completely vanishes into your skin. Now they're calling this full coverage. I would say this is like medium to buildable. I wouldn't say that this is full coverage, but I end up scribbling it on. I'll take a foundation brush, give it a quick little buff, and I feel like a lot of the redness is gone. A lot of the light freckling or skin discoloration is minimized. I really have been liking it, and it wears really well all day. It powders well. It doesn't end up looking too dry. It's not so emollient that it kind of settles into all of my pores or my fine lines. I think it does really well. Now, it's not like super hot where I live right now. We're having kind of a cold snap right now, hence the long sleeves. It's like 70 degrees outside, and it's even a little cooler on the inside of the house, but this is beautiful. Spring, I don't know what this is gonna do like in summer when it's like 100 degrees, but right now it's beautiful on the face. The other thing that I noticed is when I first got it, it was like full to the top, and I have used probably like a third of this. I haven't had it that long. I just keep reaching for it. So this is what I have left. I probably used a third of it, and I have been loving this. Oh, look. It's magnetic. I love that so, so much. So easy to find, bright pink, wears really well. Blend it with your fingers or with a brush. You could even use a sponge. When I use a damp sponge, I do find that I'm losing a little bit of the coverage, but this is great with a brush or your fingers, and you get really beautiful, buildable, natural looking coverage. Been loving this. All right, one product that I really wanted to love that I just don't think is for me, and I'm gonna have to be really careful how I use it, is this. This is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Twist and Light. And this is one of those kind of color correcting powders. It comes in really interesting packaging where you have different shades. You've got a blue, you've got a pink, you've got a skin toned, and it comes in like this little well where it looks like all the powder is up around here and it's got a hole in the middle like a donut. And the idea is that you turn the packaging bottom back and forth and it releases powder down into the well. And then you're able to, you know, stick your brush in, swirl your brush around. That's a lot of powder. The problem I've been having with this is it does make my skin look a little bit, you can see it here, a little bit dry. There is a little bit of a reflect to it because this powder does have a slight like highlighting element to it. And that is not always flattering on my 48-year-old skin. Sometimes it looks good in certain areas, like when I have it like right on the tops of my cheekbones, but it doesn't look as good when it hits my forehead because I do have these expression lines here. And guess what? This is like a highlight for it. It's like taking a magnifying glass and going, look at this. I can't put it on my forehead. I have to be careful around like my nasal labial folds because it really highlights this area right in through here. If I'm having a day where my pores are like, oh, we're feeling really big and bossy, it really highlights how large my pores are. It does bring out some more of that like orange peel texture in through here. So this might be a beautiful product on someone who's younger, who has less skin texture, who has smaller pores, who doesn't have the same expression lines that I have, but I don't know that this was made with a more mature skin in mind. It could be that I'm over applying. I try not to be too like heavy duty with powders because I know it's good or bad. And I feel like there's still plenty of product in here for me to powder my face with, but I don't even want to get this on my face. This is one of those products where I wanted to love it because it was color correcting and, you know, had a luminosity to it, but it's a little too luminous. And sometimes where it hits certain parts of my face, it just brings out the texture, the dryness, the pores, the wrinkles. I really wanted to love this. I think it has a lot of interesting things going for it, but I think you have to ask yourself, do you already struggle with texture on your skin? Are you looking for something that brings light without being like highlighty? This can look really almost like a highlight on the skin. So this for me is a no for that reason right there. This is something that I have loved for years, the ColourPop Super Shock Highlight. This is the shade Lunch Money, and this is something that I repurchased. I love this. I'm wearing it today. It's a really pretty soft highlight. It's just enough. It's not too much. There are some other ones that I feel have a little bit more intense sparkle and shine to them. I like the texture of this because these Super Shock, I feel like you could build it up if you really want a lot more bling, like you could just really like go for it like that. But I like it when it's a little softer. The thing that I like about this formula is that I don't necessarily have to be using only cream or liquid products for this to work well. I can put this over something that is powdered. And it looks really pretty. But this is a product that I've liked since it first launched, and this is one that I repurchased because I like the shade Lunch Money so much. It's a slightly champagne with a barely peach lean to it, so it's not too icy and too cool toned, but it's also not kind of pink and rosy. It has just enough of a skin toned undertone for me that it's like one of my perfect highlights, and I like it a lot. And I'm glad I repurchased it. When you buy as much makeup as I do, you have to kind of leave it visible. And I usually have a place on my desk in front of me where I leave things that are new, just to make sure that I use them enough to create an actual opinion. Like, what are my thoughts? Not just like, oh, I tried it once. Like, what do I really want? And then after I have firm thoughts and I kind of put things away, you know, cream blush, powder blush, like things where they belong inside my collection. And then if I continue to reach for it at that point, then I know it's not just a good product because I'm only keeping what I like and what I think is useful, but it's actually kind of risen to the top, kind of like the cream separating, like cream of the crop, the top stuff, the stuff that I really reach for. And there are some products in here that have kind of gone up to the top, and other ones that I'm just like, oh, no, not at all, like not for me. And then there are some that are just kind of there. They're not like calling to me to use them. And one of those that wasn't calling me to use it, and it could be the color and it could be the formula, and it's a good product. I don't want you to think that it's not a good product. It's just, it didn't captivate me, and it's this. This is the blush color infusion from Laura Mercier. This is the shade Chai. I've been having a blush moment. I know I've been having a blush moment. I like between blush and lip products, I can't stop buying them. This is one that I picked up during the Sephora sale. I had a lot of people recommending this formula to me, but especially this color. And the problem that I have usually is, since I am fair, what looks like a light blush can be really intense on me, and then I end up looking like a clown. Like I, need to be coming in a clown car with a big giant bow and squeaky shoes and like a big frizzy hairdo. Like I can get into clown territory really quick. So this was a great color recommendation because it's not too much. It is a little pinky. It is a slight peachy tone, and it's really soft and really easy to wear. Like you can hardly see it, which is what I like. But I don't know whether the reason I haven't been reaching for this is because it is such a neutral shade, or whether I've just been kind of craving something that is a little bit more cool toned. Because although this is really beautiful and it is nice and it wears well, it didn't captivate me enough where I just couldn't stop reaching for it. I was reaching for it while I was trying to form an opinion, and now I have an opinion, and I frequently overlook it in my collection. Now, if I were to have decluttered it, I think that would have been a good sense of don't need you, don't love you, bye-bye. I think it's a really good product. I just don't know that in a collection as large as mine, this is like the first thing I'm reaching for. And maybe my makeup aesthetic will change in a couple of months and I'll want something a little bit less cool toned and something closer to this, and it'll be like my new favorite thing. But right now, I would say it's good, but I don't feel like I need to run out and buy more of these Laura Mercier blushes. One thing that really surprised me, and I was like, I don't know, I don't think it's gonna be that good, is this. And this is the new bronzer from Pat McGrath. Now, I don't have the lightest shade. There is a shade lighter than this. This is I think a Pat McGrath website exclusive color. This one's called Nude Honey. And the reason I wanted to go for this one is it looks like it has just a slight, like it's bronzy, but it looks like it has just a little bit of rose to it. Just a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying? Where it doesn't look too bronzy, it doesn't look too orangey. It looks almost like it could be a blush color. And I've kind of been using it that way, and it is absolutely stunning. Now, I already know that I love the Divine Blush formula, and I was hoping that this would be easy, that it would be blendable, that it would wear really well. And yes, it does really, really good. But I think it's really specifically this color in Nude Honey that is really getting me. The minute I grab a brush like this and I start applying it, it's just enough and not too much, where I never end up looking crazy like I'm wearing too much bronzer. And that's the one thing I'm always afraid of, is getting to the point where I look like I have too much on my face. And this is always just enough, not too much, and it blends so beautifully. So this is like a really heavy swatch here, and I could probably, thin it out at this point, but I love grabbing this on a day, even when my face is not fully set. There are some powder bronzers that I cannot, like if I only have my T-zone set, if I'm going in here, it like grabs down to anything I have in my face, whether it's the hydration from my SPF, whether it's a little bit of foundation that I have on, or whether it's just like a liquid highlight that I put down first. This doesn't grab in a weird way. And you see how pretty it blends? It blends so nicely. I love this, but my favorite thing about it, I think, is the shade. I've had a couple of bronzers in the past that are the lightest shade that tend to lean a little bit yellow. And when I put those on, I end up looking like I'm ill, like I might have malaria or jaundice. And I don't look my best. I look like I'm like something's not quite right. And so my fear was the lightest shade of this that you can get at Sephora and other retailers would have been a little too on the yellow side for the undertone of skin that I have. But this one here in Nude Honey is absolutely stunning. And I'm so glad I have it. This one is kind of giving my new favorite bronzer, which is the Gucci Soleil bronzer in 01, a run for its money. I got the new line work from Danessa Myricks. I have never been a big fan of black liquid eyeliner because I feel like it can be a little bit harsh. This is really good. My favorite liquid eyeliner is the one from M Cosmetics, the illustrative liner. I feel like this is a really good alternative because the one from M you have to buy from the M website. There's no other retailer that sells it. You can get this at Danessa Myricks, you can get this at Beautylish, you can get this at Sephora. Like any place that sells Danessa Myricks is gonna sell this, and this is really good. So it has one of those brush tip applicators. I like that a lot. I also like that it has one of those like sealing cap mechanisms so that when it's closed, it's got a good seal so your product is not drying out. The firmer you press, the thicker the line. So you can go for a thin line or a really thick line. And it's really easy to do like really detailed stuff with this. I have really been liking this. I think this is a great product. I like that you can buy it at so many different retailers, and I feel like it does exactly what my favorite one from M does, which is give me the really intense control with the brush tip and the product that flows well, and the harder you press, the thicker the line. You know, if a really thin line, you just barely kiss the skin with the very tip of the brush, and you get really good precision. So this is a great product I have really been liking, and I think I'd be willing to repurchase this. Last product today is from Makeup Forever. This is one of their Aqua Resist pencils. I used to love these pencils, and I haven't had one probably in 7 or 8 years. This is the shade in Iron, and it is kind of like a matte gray. I love a not black. I love a gray liner. I love a brown liner. I love a burgundy liner. I love a navy blue. Like I want something that has a little bit something different. And although I do like black liners, I tend to not reach for them as much as I would reach for something like this. So this shade here in Iron is really beautiful. I love that they give you a sharpener on the end. So if you want to turn this into a winged liner, just sharpen it a little bit. It's fantastic that way. It has a really nice seal on the cap here. I find that it glides, it doesn't tug, it doesn't skip, it doesn't break. Sometimes when products get a little bit dried out, then they start, as you're applying them, they start to snap off or scratch your lid. That's not happening with this. I feel like the cap is really good. I don't feel like it's thin and easy to break. I feel like I'm gonna have good use of this pencil for such a long time. The other thing that I like about this is that it actually stays in place really well. It says that it is a 24-hour waterproof full impact glide liner. Okay, I don't know about the 24 hours or the completely waterproof. Now, here's where I tell you, both my eyes water. I don't know if it's age, I don't know what it is, but I always end up with little tears coming out of the corner of my eyes. And I'm not crying, just my eyes are watering. And I find that certain eyeliners can handle that and other ones can't. So this eyeliner is fantastic for above the waterline. I feel like it hangs really well up there. I don't get any smudging. And if I use the sharpener on the other end to sharpen it, I get a really beautiful wing that just stays all day. This I had been using in my upper waterline. Sometimes I'll take like something like this and I'll use it like right at the base of my lashes, like in between my lashes, to kind of darken any of those gaps between the lashes, or to kind of darken the waterline a little bit, the upper waterline. When I do that, I noticed if I'm having a day where I'm just home, where I'm making dinner, I'm doing laundry, I'm just doing regular household stuff, and I'm indoors, this is fine. I don't get any sort of like gray puddling. But when I put it in my upper waterline this last weekend, my family and I were gone. We spent a day at the beach in Oregon. We spent a day in the Redwoods in California. And this was like the only eyeliner I took with me because I was like, this one's great. Guess who had a little bit of like gray puddling here? I had my sunglasses on, I took them off and I was like, oh my goodness, because I had gray like all right in through here. But a lot of it was because my eyes were watering. It was windy on the beach, it was really sunny, it was really hot. I was doing more activity than I was used to doing. So this is one of those, if you're doing your daily regular and you're inside, it's gonna be fine, I think, because it's performed really well for me. But on the days where I pushed it a little bit outside of what I normally do, my eyes were a little bit waterier, it was dealing with more heat, more wind, more everything. I did have some smudging and it wasn't utter perfection. So the 24-hour waterproof, I don't know. I don't know. This is not the sort of eyeliner I would want to be wearing on a day where I'm like cleaning my garage out, or I'm working in the garden, where I know it's going to be hot, I'm going to be perspiring, and my eyes are going to water. I feel like that might be too much for this. But on a regular day like today, it does great. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know what products you like so much that kind of take care of a problem for you, or ones that you just can't stop reaching for because they're just so good. Like that's both of these. Or the ones where you thought you were gonna love it, but it just ended up not being for you or not working the way you hoped it would. Or the ones that you have repurchased because you know you love it so much. Let me know what yours are in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.